What's up, guys? It's Brandon Flash. Today you're joining me with my 2023 Tesla Model Y all-wheel drive with the 4680 structural battery pack, and we're going to be doing a 70 mile per hour range test. So here we have my car. We're charging up to 100% on a version 3 Tesla supercharger. I did put on my factory Gemini wheel covers. I normally run a Tempest style aftermarket, but just for sake of testing and having this as close to accurate as possible, I did swap those back on, even though they made essentially no difference in my efficiency testing that I did. Definitely check out that video if you haven't already. And for those that are not familiar, this is actually the now discontinued 2023 standard range, essentially all-wheel drive, versus the standard range rear-wheel drive that Tesla just came out with the LFP battery, whereas this has the 4680 structural battery pack that Tesla will be using for the Cybertruck. So let me show you what that looks like on the screen. But it's worth noting again that this is all-wheel drive, and this is not the LFP rear-wheel drive that Tesla just came out with. So we'll go into software here, so you can see it just says all-wheel drive, or sorry, it doesn't say anything. It just says Model Y. And then I do have CAN data running here, so we're charging up to 100%. And this way I'll be able to see buffers and everything. And while this does have 11,000 miles on it almost, or we're gonna be crossing 11,000 miles on this test, it's not showing any signs of degradation. It's showing 67.5 battery kilowatt hour full, which is exactly what I would expect on a brand new 4680 Model Y. So maybe the poor charge curve is actually helping with degradation here. Who knows? But we're going to reset this trip. 70 mph. Reset. There we go. So I did set my tire pressures this morning to the manufacturer recommended pressure of 42 psi when cold. We're going to be going a 70 mile per hour constant. It is about 72 degrees outside, which is pretty much perfect. Probably will be getting a little bit warmer throughout this test, but that's fine. And we're going to be doing a loop style test. So we're here in Fort Mill, South Carolina. We're going to be going down almost to Columbia, South Carolina, straight south. We're going to be going north. And then we're going to be probably going around the 485 loop. Unfortunately, I don't have as good of a testing loop of sorts as Kyle does out in Colorado in the rural area. I'm in a city, a little bit more challenging, and cities are a little closer here than Wyoming. But we're going to do our best to kind of keep it as consistent as possible. But let me just show you that route. So like I said, here we are in Fort Mill, South Carolina at a Tesla supercharger. We're going to be going basically down to Columbia, all the way down here, and then we'll probably come all the way back up and then do a loop. This is about a 67 mile loop. I'm thinking we should be able to get pretty close to 200 miles, but it's hard to say for sure. So I'm thinking we'll probably go down, up, all the way around, and then we'll probably have to go past the supercharger again a bit, but that's totally fine. But this way we can kind of keep moving as much as possible, and it should cancel out any kind of wind, general elevation effects, things like that, because it'll be a loop style test. So we're just going to let this charge up to 100%. We're going to be running climate at 68 to 72. I'm going to be on the lower end there at auto. We're going to be driving on chill mode because that's the most efficient setting. That is in here, which I drive on anyway. Looks like we do have a pending software update, but I don't believe that adds any range or anything. 2023.32.7, that literally just popped up, or I would have installed it prior. That's a very vague release note, but okay. But we're on 32.4 currently, and I'm going to use the restroom before this long test, and then we should be back up to 100%. There we go, 100%. I don't know why it was set to 99%. That's weird. But that way we'll top balance, and I did charge to 100% overnight on AC charging last night, so that way it could top balance there rather than having to take quite as long on a Tesla supercharger. Just about ready to go, still getting 11 kilowatts at 99%, and we're displaying 99.8% on the CAN data there, right up there. And then we've got a fairly warm battery, and then on the way back we're not going to be navigating to the supercharger, so that way it doesn't precondition. We'll just be navigating to a point nearby, and I've set my nav to go all the way down here to basically Columbia down here. That's a good turnaround spot, and right now it's predicting that we'll arrive there with 68% and we'll arrive back here with 28%. So we'll see how those stick. Comment down below your predictions on my efficiency. There's my lifetime efficiency, 308 watt hour per mile, which is definitely above rated efficiency. And just for note, this vehicle is rated for 279 miles of EPA rated range when new. At 99%, we're currently at 278. That'll probably tick over. There we go, 100%. So 278. Looks like we've maybe lost 1 mile. 100%. You can see we're still getting a little bit of power, but let me unplug and then I'll show you guys that data. And then we will get going pretty much immediately. So there we have it, 100%, 67.5 remaining kilowatt hour. We've got a warm battery, 385 volts roughly, and we do have that 3 kilowatt hour buffer, 4.2 max brick temperature. So everything's looking nice and good. And there we actually have it, 279 miles rated range at 100%. There we go. So let's get on the road. It's gonna be a pretty quick onto the interstate here. So we'll just pull out. We have to flip around and then just hop on 77 South. Let's get to it. Again, we have climate set to 68 auto. I'm gonna reset the trip once more just for sake of making it as accurate as possible. And I took a picture of that just in case, but we're at just shy of 11,000 miles now and we're gonna hit the road. And I'll see you guys at 75%. I wish it was a little bit shorter to get onto the interstate from here, but it's not too terrible. We're gonna drive pretty gingerly until we get onto the interstate and then we will accelerate reasonably to get to 70 miles per hour. We're going to GPS verify, which last time I did was 71 miles per hour indicated was 70 mile per hour GPS. And then we're just going to set autopilot, make sure we don't have any drafting going on. So that way we have the most consistent, repeatable result possible. But again, this is the real world. So your mileage may vary quite literally depending on if you do this test again. And we're at close to sea level, which if you're comparing this to Kyle from Out of Specs tests, he's doing these at pretty high elevation and the air is thinner up there. So I would not be surprised if he's getting better results even with the same car, same temperature, things like that, because a higher elevation means thinner air, which will lead to slightly better results, especially over 200 plus miles. But I'm guessing that this is going to go about 220 miles, but I would love to hear what you guys think below before you watch all the way through to the end. Hopefully you watch all the way to the end rather than skip to the end to see the result. But let's get to it. 77 South to Columbia, coming right up. And again, we're going to accelerate gently up to 70 miles per hour and then set our autopilot at 71. There we have it, 71 miles per hour. I have my follow distance set to 7 there. Going to be ignoring it to get out of the passing lane. I'm watching behind me though to make sure that I'm not blocking anyone. However, I want to stay with as clean of air as possible so that way we're not getting some drafting benefit. I did want to mention we have about a 10 mile per hour, slightly less, tailwind right now. So it's coming from the north. So this initial leg is probably going to be more efficient than the return leg. Which is also somewhat reflected in those estimates from the Tesla route planner that we would use more energy coming back than we are going down to Columbia area. So we'll see how that plays in. But I'm expecting under 300 watt hour per mile for this initial leg and probably low 300s on the way back. We're currently at about 600 feet of elevation. So I believe we also lose a little bit of elevation going to Columbia, but I don't 100% remember the topography of this area. But I know on my efficiency test, the leg down is a little bit more efficient because we're losing elevation, than the way back is a little bit less efficient because we have to gain that elevation back. We just crossed it to 75% and we have driven 57 miles, 277 watt hour per mile. So we're on track for just shy of 230 miles, which is actually pretty solid. So we're 14 miles from the turnaround point, just so that way we can avoid the Columbia traffic. But overall, looking like a actually pretty acceptable result, but we'll see how this goes. We'll be checking back in at the turnaround point and also at 50%. So see you guys in a bit. Just clicked off of 71 miles per hour for the turnaround here. So we've driven 72 miles, 269 watt hour per mile. So we're going to be exiting here. We're going to be taking a left and then we're going to be taking another left to get right back on. So we'll head back up and then see how things are going to determine whether we're going to do the full loop around Charlotte or if we're just going to keep doing more on 77. So We will see depending on how much range we have left, because that is obviously the determining factor here. But I think we'll have enough to do a full loop of the 485 Charlotte perimeter road. We just crossed to 50% state of charge. We're at 113, well, it was just 113 miles, so we're on track for about 226 to 230 miles, somewhere in there. Not 100% sure I'm going to continue the route that I discussed, because it looks like there's some traffic there, which I want to avoid. So you're going to keep an eye on that as we get a little bit closer, and then see if we want to just flip around somewhere and just keep doing back and forth on 77, but going to make a call here as we get close. But otherwise, just cruising along, pretty much perfect conditions. Like I said, a little bit of wind, but not the end of the world. And let's just see what the consumption's showing, or sorry, drive there. So it looks like we're using less energy than it projected for driving. I don't know why it's saying staying below 70, but I guess we are technically going 71 as far as the car is concerned. And then the 5.2 mile an hour wind cost 1.8%. So I guess we could have maybe been a little bit more efficient. So updated plan with the traffic. So we're going to keep going north. We're going to go not quite all the way to the supercharger. So we're going to turn around up here, and then we're going to go back down south on the same route. We're going to go not quite as far, not quite all the way to Columbia, which is there. That's where we turned around previously. And then we'll go back, and then again, I don't have the supercharger set in navigation. I just have the parking lot that the supercharger is in set in my navigation. There we go. So I just dropped a pin there, and then that's how we're navigating back. So that way the battery is not preconditioning or anything using energy. And right now it's saying we'll arrive with 0%, which is perfect because I'll be able to watch the buffer, and I'm totally comfortable running in with it 0. And we also have some CCS bailout options as needed. Just took it off of autopilot to turn around after 139 miles driven. And like I said, we're going to be just flipping around here and then hopping right back on. Looks like there's a little bit of traffic, unfortunately, so hopefully we can get through in just one light cycle so we're not sitting too long. Looks like that. Got a green light already, so should be good. We're going to get back on and get right back to 71 set, 70 GPS. And it's showing 38% displayed there, and we're starting to get the mismatch there between displayed and actual state of charge. So you can see 40.7, which is totally normal because that's the actual battery state of charge. And you can see at rest we're at 3.6 volts per cell and 335 roughly for the entire pack. We are at 25% state of charge, having driven 170 miles. So that puts us on track for about 226 miles. So holding pretty steady, showing 28.5% state of charge as the actual battery state of charge, but 25 is displayed. So we're about 13 miles away from the turnaround point, showing 2% arrival. Unfortunately, the next exit is quite a bit farther, so we can't just go a little bit farther to add some more miles, unfortunately. So we'll probably have to do some loops as we get closer to the charger, but that's fine. And again, we're not navigating to the supercharger with the navigation system to avoid preconditioning, and the battery is actually slowly cooling down there. So coolant is going into the battery, which is causing the battery temperature to very slowly go down. And I'm probably going to end up doing a charge recording from 0 to 100% or 0 to something percent, just to see if having a cooler starting battery improves the charging performance on this 4680 battery pack, because it does get rather toasty rather quickly, so maybe starting cooler will help. We'll see. But that won't be in this video per se. Well, it's time for, or just about time for, the final-ish turnaround, at least until we get all the way back to the charger area. We're at 20% state of charge, and we're going to be turning around, and then we'll head back. So we'll do that here. Very nice and easy turnaround here. And we're at 184 miles driven and 50 miles remaining, and it's showing 0% arrival back to the charger, which is pretty excellent. Not sure why it's showing stop traffic on these, or on this on-ramp. There very much isn't. There's no one here at all, so that's a little bit odd, but not complaining for me. So looks like we'll do about 234 miles. That seems like a fair amount, actually. So that would be, I'd be impressed if we make it that far. But again, we have some bailout options before we get to the supercharger in case we need them. But realistically, we'll probably end up running past zero displayed, just given that there's some CCS options along the way. So back on the interstate, lock in autopilot here, and I'll see you guys at 0% or as we get close to the arrival. Well, we are at 1%, just slowing down here because there's a car ahead of me, but that's fine. We're at 221 miles driven. We're at 1% state of charge, and we're going to be bailing out to the Circle K in Rock Hill here. We can't quite make it to the supercharger, or it'd be a little daring, I think, to go that much farther, another 12 miles or so. We're at 5.7% actual state of charge with 3.9 kilowatt hours remaining. So I'm not concerned that we're going to run out to make it 3.4 miles, and I'm probably going to do some runs here on this side road. But I think it's a little too far to be going all the way to the supercharger. So we're going to pull off a little bit early, but call it about 222 miles at 70 miles per hour. And then I'm going to be doing some side roads. I think we're going to hit 230, but I think 220, 225 is about the 70 mile per hour range of this Tesla Model Y with the 4680 pack. And we're showing 0% state of charge at 224 miles driven, 4.4% actual state of charge according to the CAN data, with we're going into the buffer now of 3 kilowatt hours. And we're going to be taking one farther exit past the Circle K exit, turn off navigate on autopilot. And then that way we'll go a little bit farther at 71 miles per hour, or 70 indicated, or sorry, 71 indicated, 70 actual, and then we'll take a side road back. So it's kind of yelling at me here. Of course it is, but that is fine. We'll probably go that way or so, but just want to get as far into the buffer as I can, so that way we can get as real of a 70 mile per hour range as we possibly can. Exiting here with 227 miles driven, 3.3 actual state of charge. We're actually going to be flipping back onto 77 to turn around. We'll see if we can manage to get through this green light. But I think we'll just get back on 77 rather than taking the side road. Nice and gentle acceleration as we get back onto the interstate here, and then we'll be taking the very next exit. So not very far to travel, but don't want to pull down the pack voltage too much, or could brick it. We would not want that, because that would leave us on the side of the road. So definitely something to be mindful as you're at actually low state of charge, but 3% actual state of charge with 2 kilowatt hours left. We do have some construction here, so can't quite get up to 71, but we'll at least go decent speeds here. Well, there we have it. We drove from 100% all the way down to 0%. We drove 229 miles in just under 3.5 hours, 282 watt hours per mile. In theory, we could have driven about another 5 or 6 miles with 1.6 kilowatt hour remaining, but even with CAN data, you can only trust this so much because it's an estimate of the battery capacity remaining, but pack voltage is extremely low, down to 271 volts. 2.8 is the minimum cell voltage, and we're at 2.4 actual state of charge on the battery. So yeah, definitely pretty low. I must say that 229 miles out of the 279 mile rated range, which is 82%, is actually not that terrible. I expected quite a bit worse. Realistically, I expected about 200 miles. So that's, I mean, it's pretty acceptable, I'd say. Is it impressive range? Not really. Is it workable? Yes. Would I like to see more range? Also, yes. But Tesla's now discontinued this model, so it's really not even that relevant anymore. There's now the LFP rear-wheel drive. Model Y is the base model now, so I'd probably go for that one. I would really want to get my hands on one of those to do some testing, both charging, range, 10% challenge, things like that. We'll see if I can make that happen. Fortunately, I don't think swapping this Model Y for one of those is really in the cards, but we shall see. Given the wrap and stuff, and trade-in values are pretty poor right now, so I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty happy with my car overall. It definitely is more than enough for daily use, but I would like to see better charging and more range, but what can you do? Anyway, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys for watching.